Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this. And again, thank you for attending the show today. I have the great privilege, still haven't eaten today, of inviting and letting everybody know that Felix Lu and Trad Moore are participating in this current panel. Welcome to the show, guys. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to do this for us.
Thank you for having us, for sure.
Definitely, Bill. Would have participated in the previous one, but really glad to be able to do this now.
Well, this is, I think it's going to be the first of many. I mean, I really feel like until cons come back in any kind of, reasonable format, I think we're going to, this is really what we've got. And I know you're already an expert at all that, and we'll be talking more about that in the panel that you and I are going to do next. But again, I just thank you both, and I'm going to back out of here and turn everything over to you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, Trad, how you doing?
Doing good. I'm already seeing some of these hellos over on the side. Hello, people.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out.
I'm in California. You are in Brooklyn, New York.
I am.
Crazy year,
Indeed.
Can't wait for it to be over. But for you, professionally at least, breakthrough year, major breakthrough, and it's probably about time, really. I think not just this year, but last year as well. Just when Silver Surfer Black hit, it's just completely blown up. I think those of us who have been, big Trad fans have known forever, but I think the whole world knows now. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
and we will get to Silver Surfer Black because I know that's what most people are going to want to hear about, talk about it. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions about it.
Yeah.
But we should probably just cover the broad strokes of Trad Moore, his art, his career. And let's jump ahead a little bit. Let's start with school. I
was a Savannah College of Art and Design guy. I was there from 2006 to 2010, and stayed there another year afterwards, trying to make ends meet, drawing Luther Strode before Luther Strode was out. But yeah, that was, I loved living there at that time. I loved my time there, still, gosh, so much talent comes through there. And, luckily and thankfully, so many of us, in my class are now people in the comic field doing well, and I always root for them at every chance I get.
And who are some of the people in your class?
Oh gosh, if you've seen the artwork of Paulina Ganesho, she's amazing. Jeremy Cerise, Coleman Ingle. Gosh, yeah, it's a lot of people also in illustration and whatnot. Those are all comics people, but
Was Jeff Shaw before you?
Jeff Shaw was, we were there at the same time, but he was, I think he and Donnie, because Donnie Cates was there with me too. I think they were both grad and I was undergrad. So we had some, me and Jeff met when we were being critiqued by Howard Chaykin and why am I drawing a blank on one of the best inkers in comics, Klaus Janson. So that was quite a trial by fire experience.
Yeah, how did that go?
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was.
Howard does not spare anyone.
No. It was a pretty. I was really nervous going into it, and I didn't want to do it. And I told my professors, I was like, nah, I don't want to do this, because we had to get up on stage, and I didn't want to do that. But they were like, do it, come on. So I was like, yeah, whatever. We did this stuff. We get up on stage, and Howard Chaykin had been kind of ripping it to some people, as he does. And they put my stuff up on there, and he was kind of quiet for a bit, and I was like, oh no, what's he gonna say? And then he just went, fuck, I don't have anything bad to say. And I was like,
Wow.
Yeah,
wow,
no. On subsequent pages, he gave me good, sharp critiques, but for an opening line, that definitely gave me a little boost of encouragement. To oh no, I'm not going to be eviscerated. I'm not going to be flayed in front of all these people.
Even a young embryonic Trad art was is still got Howard's approval.
They saw something in there, you know. Thankfully, yeah. It's weird looking back at your old work. You know, I think everyone kind of every artist has that weird feeling looking back at old work, but you kind of just got to go, whatever was what it was, and people saw what they saw, and I'm glad they did, you know.
Okay, so your first major work after school is Luther Strode.
Yes.
How did that come about?
That was in school, actually, like towards my junior and senior year. I guess, you know, me and folks meeting online started putting together pitches and whatnot. And Justin reached out to me, I want to say my junior year of college, going into my senior year.
That's the writer, Justin Jordan.
Justin Jordan, yeah. If I speak too casually, DeviantArt. I don't know if that site is still. I know it's still there. I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's thriving the way it was, you know.
I don't think it's quite as relevant as it used to be.
Gosh, because at the time, I mean, that's where so many of us, like, quote, met for the first time. That was where, you know, basically almost my whole generation of buddies, you know, whether, you know, Andrew McLean, James Herron, all of us, that's where we met, and that's where we started like following each other's work and kind of rooting each other on, was all on DeviantArt, and then we all, you know, slowly filtered out into the professional world. So yeah, he found me there. I did the pitch for Luther Strode as like a senior project, or, you know, I was in an inking class. That was at the time. I didn't think I was going to be an inker. I didn't want to be an inker growing up. I wanted to be a penciler. That was the extent of my dreams, was just to be a comic book penciler. But then I took that inking class, and I was like, you know what? I guess I'll do this myself. And I'm glad. I think that with the current crop of talent, you know, 30s and younger, gosh, even up into I think a lot of us pencil and ink our own work now. I think that's more the norm these days. But I don't know what was in the water that led us all in that direction, but that's what kind of we're all doing. Yeah, and then yeah, it got picked up like a couple months after Luther Strode got picked up a couple months after I graduated, and on to professional comics. That was it.
And Luther Strode took up about 4 or 5 years of your life.
Yeah, pretty wild when you think about it. That was I think I wrapped up like the final issue of the Legacy of Luther Strode. I think I was like, it might have been right around my 29th birthday. You know what I mean? So it was basically my whole 20s was off and on doing that, you know, because you'd do a pitch packet, and then you'd wait 8 months, and then you'd get a response, and you'd go, oh, this is moving forward. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of stop and go. But yeah, that's definitely you know, that was a time in my life for sure that I look fondly upon.
What was interesting to me about Luther Strode, and I discovered it relatively early, but not super early, not with issue 1.
Yeah.
Later issues, and I thought, oh, this is interesting, and went back and sought out the earlier art.
Yep.
And
you're
then,
an early adopter, I can say that for sure.
Yeah,
met you at a show when you were looking for art.
I was buying art from you way early, you know.
Yep, you were.
And then waited with bated breath for Legend of Luther Strode, the second arc, and really surprised at how the art style changed and developed. And I didn't know if that was just a natural evolution of you as an artist, or you made a conscious decision to have a different style for this arc. And as it turned out, the third arc, Legacy of Luther Strode, had yet another style. And that style is consistent through each arc, but each arc is its own thing.
Yeah.
You know? So how much of that was a conscious decision, or did it just work out like that?
I think in the early years, you know, with the Strange Talent and with the Legend, you know, I guess that was basically from when I was like 21 to maybe 24 or 25, it was just kind of like feral child energy, just throwing it at the page. I was, obviously you're making 1,000 decisions every page. But at that time it was so chaotic, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if everyone is like that at that age. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are, but I was just, anything that was interesting to me at the time, I was bringing it in. So just a lot of sound and fury on those pages, and it took me later to kind of take what I found to be meaningless in some of that sound and fury and minimize it later. And so following those two, because I went from The Legend of Luther Strode to Ghost Rider. And from Ghost Rider on, specifically with Ghost Rider, was where I started making very conscious decisions of like, I want this book to be this, like I will basically, before each project, I'll have maybe just a few main things that I'm pulling from in terms of inspiration, whether it's certain movies or certain comics or certain classical artists or whatever it is, maybe a musical style. And it's not that I'm looking at them the whole time, but they're kind of like my North Star of desire. They're like, I won't, so for pretty much every book from Ghost Rider on, I can think of maybe 4 or 5 things that I will always connect with that time in my life and with that project, because it was constantly on my mind for those couple of years of working on whichever book it is.
So I would say, again, just as a fan and someone who, obviously loves your work, the first story, Strange Talent of Luther Strode, was sort of an introduction to your style, and it was
Right.
something that we hadn't seen before. And then the sound and the fury that you just described, to me, describes Legend.
Yeah, it is a lot of just
Exactly. And then Legacy took another direction where you did all that super crazy hyper detail, very like Jeff Darrow-y, and you almost need a magnifying glass to see it all. And
that one was, just a quick aside, that one was super, each project kind of informs the next in the things that you enjoyed and didn't enjoy about a project. You know what I mean? Sometimes you learn through being aspirational, and sometimes you learn via contrast. You know what I mean? And with the Legacy, I really loved what we did on Ghost Rider, but it was specifically towards the end of it, it was such a deadline situation. And it just like me and Felipe Smith working on that, like specifically on those like last 2 issues, I think that between the 2 of us, we probably slept about 2 hours in a month. You know what I mean? Like we were just, so after that, I was so frustrated by, how that felt, that I was like, with Legacy of Luther Strode, I ain't listening to nobody on deadlines. I'm going to spend as much time as I want on every single page. And that honestly kind of broke me in a different way, because I got so obsessive with it that a lot of it wasn't necessarily a joy to draw. But I knew, like, there's a double page spread that kind of like opens the Legacy of Luther Strode, and it's just, it's Samson having killed like thousands of warriors, and I drew every single one of them. And even I would say, 2 days into drawing that piece, I was like, I'm never doing this again. I can't do this. Like, but I did it for the whole book. You know what I mean? I was like, this is my, I'm going to use no splatter effects, no anything. I'm going to put every star in the sky by my choice. I'm going to put every drop of blood by my choice.
Every bubble in the water is just, but to me, that was sort of like the final word on that, crazy obsessive style.
Yeah. It was
You got nowhere to go from there.
Yeah, and it's just also one of those things where it's like the process of it is what, as an artist, you're going to be drawing for whatever it is, 8 to 10 hours a day, every day. for hopefully your whole career, for your whole life, if you can make a career out of it. So it's like, for me, I have to enjoy those 8 hours. I have to figure out something compelling, or maybe not necessarily enjoy, but be challenged or compelled by. So at that time, that was my challenge. That was my mountain to climb. And once I had climbed that mountain, I'm like, I don't want to climb that mountain again. I want to climb a different mountain. I want to go a different way. So yeah, every project is kind of me, I don't know, trying to live in now, whatever I am right now. That's what I want the book to be.
So I'll tell you, as a fan, I loved Luther Strode, but I almost felt bad, like, this poor bastard's killing himself, on a book that's cool but doesn't have the biggest audience.
Yeah.
Then you went to Marvel for Ghost Rider, and I thought, okay, this is a big step. And if Marvel's smart, Ghost Rider is just sort of a springboard to my mind, Spidey. Like, to my, in my view, you give Chad Moore of that period Spidey, it would have like a Todd McFarlane kind of impact. Everyone says, oh, the kids don't go to comic shops, kids in comic shops. And I'm not saying that a Chad Moore Spidey series would bring kids back, but I could definitely see kids being excited by it. It has that kind of energy.
Yeah.
But I think Marvel didn't really know what they had. And
to be fair, I will say, to be fair to Marvel, that was that's not Marvel's fault. That was my decision. Marvel was being very open door with me, and they really, that was when I was working with the editor that I was working on with Ghost Rider, is a guy named Mark Paniccia, and that was back when Axel Alonso was editor-in-chief, and both of them were, very much like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Where do we want to put you? And I was like, I got to finish Luther Strode. That's what I got to do. That is the promise I made. That is the decision I made. And, I told them on the front end of Ghost Rider, I was like, I will do an arc of Ghost Rider, but then I'm going back to the book that me and Justin and Felipe Sobrero, we knew that we were going to do 3 volumes of that by, when I was 21. So I'm going to ride that goddamn thing till it's done, So yeah, that wasn't them being stupid. That was maybe me being stupid, but I like the decision.
No, I absolutely respect that decision. But I also will say, in fairness to Marvel, as you just said, you're not really a monthly guy.
Yeah. Oh no, that's never going to be something that I'm capable of.
Those who have bought your Ghost Rider art know that toward the end, you started 11 by 17, and then the paper got smaller. And I'm sure that was a concession to the deadline, to time.
Yep.
But I'll also say too, like, even though the paper was smaller, I mean, the art was still all there.
It's funny. Yeah. It ended up not being nearly the time saver that I thought it would be, because I thought, oh, I'm working at, 60% or whatever it was. So I'm going to draw, I'm going to save 40% of time. And what it did was just make me lean over more and focus more. So it's just like, didn't really do much. You know what I mean? If you're not actually making an active decision to simplify, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of what is in the panel, the size of it, sure, it makes a little bit of difference, you know what I mean? But it's not going to make a drastic difference unless you are actually, altering the content of what's inside the panel. Because yeah, there were other times that I've simplified, that I've gone very graphic. That's usually my one. I just like how it looks, kind of mixing graphic stuff in with more representational. That's something that I've always enjoyed. But yeah, going graphic usually is a little bit easier than when you draw. Or not easier. It's a big time saver when you don't draw 6,000 windows. You know what I mean? If you just draw the cityscape and it reads the same, So
what makes me laugh is like a page on Luther Strode where in the background there's a chain link fence, and you draw like all the links, you know.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I told you at that time.
When it's printed, you can't even see it, you know.
Yeah, that was a learning experience on the early comics for sure. It's just like you don't know what's going to show up and what isn't. But I feel like that's why I felt like at that time in my career, I really needed to just. There's a lot of discovering going on. Like one of how to draw certain things. Two, one of my favorite things about drawing is it just makes you understand the world around you better. And sometimes I would want to draw the chain link fence, not to be impressive or show off, but just to be like, this is a thing that I've seen every day of my life for, 20 some odd years. And I don't actually know how these things connect. You know what I mean? And so that was a lot of times in drawing, that's what fascinates me, of going like, how does a braid work? How do shoelaces work? What is a moped? How do you drive a moped? You know what I mean? Like, so, and that was, with Ghost Rider, I knew nothing, I'm not a big car guy, so when we were talking about it and they were like talking about Ghost Rider, I was like, I don't know a damn thing about how to draw a car. And I wasn't very good at that time. Didn't have much experience drawing cities either. So part of my desire to do that book, in addition to just wanting to work with Felipe Smith and to, do something cool at Marvel, was just to understand the world better, to see if I could do this thing, everyone said drawing cars is hard and drawing chase scenes is hard. And I was like, I better give it a shot. You won't know until you try.
All right. Hold on for just a second, Trad. I do want to
acknowledge. Let's check out some of these.
The audience, and so everyone who is watching right now, we will get to your questions. I'm keeping my eye on the clock. We're about the 20-minute mark, and I think around maybe 40 minutes or so, we're going to jump into the questions. So feel free to chime in. But in the meantime, hi ML, I believe that's Mikhail. Jason Kim is here. Deli from UK. Christian Joao from Portugal. I have no idea what time it is in Portugal. I think some people are up late.
Dang. Thanks, John.
C. White, Robert Lee, Carl Choi, Rob Rush. Rob Rush actually owns one of my favorite splash pages from Silver Surfer Black. I should have fucking kept it. Brian Lake, Unruly Simeon. Bootlegging is a habit. I think I know who that is. I think he's in your part of the world. George Haig from North Carolina. Very nice guy. Mike Sitchy. Tariq Arshad, who's in my neck of the woods. How you doing, Tariq? Victor Bracamontes from Southern California. Justin Stafford. Justin Stafford is someone we're going to talk about in a little bit, Trad. So
cool. I was about to say I'm looking at some of these and trying to kind of keep them in my mind. I see Victor's question and Yo Curry's question. Well, those are good ones.
Reba, great to see Reba. So we will get to all you guys. Just hang tight. We're gonna finish this overview of Trad's career, and
Sean, here's your shout out. What's up, dude?
Oh, Sean, sorry. And Ron. I mean, all you guys who are just jumping in now. Hello. Okay, let's get back to it. You are not a monthly guy, and that's fine. And I actually think your art, your career is served better by always being able to present your best effort.
Yes.
So you do. We're done with Luther Strode. You have a couple of odd jobs at Big Two. You did a Venom issue, which I think was fantastic. And
thank you. That's one of my. That's still. I really. You had talked about like, what would it look like if you did, Spider-Man in that era of your career, and I think that issue of Venom is that. I still really love that issue, and it was the fact that it was Felipe coloring it as well, and that's I love a lot of the stuff that me and Felipe have done together, but I think that's my favorite thing that he and I have done.
The morphing had already started.
Yes, for sure.
And then you did a issue of Suicide Squad, which for whatever reason DC has yet to publish, but that's pretty cool.
One day, DC. I'm gonna get it.
And then jumped into your next long form. The New World
Mm-hmm.
with Alesh Kott,
Mm-hmm.
a writer you've known for a while, and I think he's a younger guy, and he connects with a lot of the younger artists. And that was 6 issues, and that took up the next chunk of your life.
Yeah, that was years on that bad boy.
Yeah, and sorry to give New World short shrift, but I want to keep track of the time, and I know everyone wants to talk about Silver Surfer. So from New World, you go into Silver Surfer Black. How did Silver Surfer Black come about?
Gosh, Silver Surfer, like that's just it's something that I had been kind of like bugging Marvel about for a long time. I have a couple characters over there that I actually feel like I have a story to tell with, and that I have like a desire to work on, that I feel like I can treat basically as if it's my own character, and Silver Surfer is one of those. And so basically anytime they would ask me over the years of like, what's next, you want to do this, you want to do that, and I'd be like, oh, what about Silver Surfer? And they'd be like, don't worry about Silver Surfer. And I'm like, that's all I worry about. That's all I want. And it was one of those things where word gets around that that people want to do certain things. So it's just kind of a through the grapevine of friends selling friends. Fred wants to do Silver Surfer. And that was around the time when Donnie like kind of got his hands on a lot of the Donnie Cates got his hands on a lot of the cosmic Marvel stuff. And he caught wind that I wanted to do Silver Surfer. So he hit me up and he said, yo, let's do it. We'll pitch it together. And yeah, so he and I sat down at New York Comic Con, whatever year that was, I don't know, 140 years ago. And yeah, we just spitballing ideas, because I had a general idea of what I wanted to do. And it was kind of a bizarre thing that he and I, the basic premise was essentially the exact same thing. And it was one of those kind of like mind unity moments where we're like, oh, we're definitely doing this book. So yeah, then that was from there. They gave us the green light, kind of based on not a whole lot, just based on our passion and our basic pitch for the book, just kind of like a little page pitch for the book, and then we built it from there. So
it was the series was basically done Marvel style, right? It was sort of your ideas on the page, and Donnie would kind of backfit a story around it. And I'm sure, certain elements like Null showing up, played into the overall, I call it the Cates verse, right? But
yeah, for sure.
As far as the Silver Surfer Black story, the idea, that hand issue, that's all trad?
Well, no, I mean, it was one of those things where when you're having phone calls, you know what I mean, and you're just talking with a friend, it does become very difficult to define who said what. So it's really, I just know that he and it was very Marvel. And basically it's like when he had his vision and I had mine, and we talked about it, and he basically with each issue that would come out, he'd say, what do you want to draw? And I would have some kernel of something. Like, for example, we'll take the first issue. We both knew that we wanted him to get sucked into a black hole and be alone in a universe. And I knew that I wanted to draw Silver Surfer fighting 3 Guardians at a tower. And so I told him, I said, I want 3 Guardians at a tower. I want Silver Surfer to fight them. I have this idea of how I want him to move and this and that. And he said, cool, we'll do it. So that was basically, each issue would start with, okay, what are we doing this time, dude? So yeah, it was a very, you hear this all the time, but yeah, it was a very organic process. And it's something that you can only kind of do when you have a good understanding of one another's work, so I think that benefited us, having known each other for a while and followed each other's careers. You know what I mean? We knew each other's strengths. We knew when to let one another take lead. And I think that's one of Donnie's true strengths as a writer. And there's another, like, this is a lot of writers have this talent in comics, and I think it's amazing, is when they know just to sit back, and go, you take these few pages, I'll do I'll do Marvel style on top of it. And I think it happens more often than credits would lead you to believe, because how do you explain that to someone who doesn't know? But yeah, so that's how a lot of those sequences would work. Of in issue 3, when Surfer goes into ego, it was definitely one of those. And then Surfer goes into ego. Have fun for the next 7 pages. Talk to you in a month. So it was a great experience. Loved working with Donnie. Yeah, and it was similar working with Felipe Smith. He's a writer artist, so he knew during chase sequences to go like, dude, draw your damn chase sequence, and I'll put some words on it afterwards.
Yeah, the one thing I've said about Donnie Cates, the writer, who is maybe the most popular writer right now, maybe the writer who sells more comics than anyone. But one thing I saw in Donnie early, and especially with the big 2 stuff, the Marvel stuff, is he is like the most enthusiastic fanboy you ever met in your life.
Oh, absolutely.
This is like the best fanfic any that fanboy has ever written. And when I talked about like getting kids excited in comics again, to me, he's sort of like the writer equivalent of you. Like if I was 12 years old reading Thanos Wins,
oh yeah,
in mind, So I think
yeah, and his exuberance, his exuberance shines through when you collaborate with him as well, and you feel very encouraged and empowered by that. You know what I mean? So it's like I said, it's funny, Donnie at Marvel, and I know, James Tynan, big seller over at, working on Batman over at DC. He does a lot of his superhero stuff, at least, very Marvel style. And I think that's, if you're doing big, bombastic, art-centric stuff, there's kind of,
that's the way to go.
That's just the way to do it. You know what I mean? That's like, it's ultimately going to be the artist who puts the lines on the page anyway. So you might as well let the artist give them space to do what they want.
If you're a writer and you're a smart writer and you are working with a Tradmore, you absolutely let Trad do his thing. I mean, it's the art that's going to elevate the whole project, So I actually heard that, when you started working on Silver Surfer Black and it was time to show the powers that be at Marvel, the art that you were doing, that there was some blank stares. There's some confusion. They didn't know quite what to think of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too into this one, but a lot of times, this is not the first time, because between projects, I do tend to really, to me, it looks natural, whatever my style is, but a lot of times people will hire me, judging me based on my previous project, thinking they're going to get that, and then they don't get that, and they don't know what to do with themselves. So that has happened a number of times, and honestly, that happened early in my career. That's, if it weren't for me putting out Luther Strode, editors weren't interested in me until they saw that, because they couldn't see where to put me until, and I encourage that to all artists, is like, no one knows where to put you until you show them who you are. You know what I mean? So whatever you're passionate about, whatever you love, whatever, don't draw shit you don't want to draw, because then you're going to get hired to do that stuff, and then you're going to be miserable. So like, draw what you want to draw and share it with people, and then people go, I get it. There's no reason that an outsider should understand your vision when you speak it to them, because it has to, like, as a visual artist, you know what I mean? Like, how could you just explain someone's style to you? Yeah. So yeah.
Hey, so having said that, I want to give Marvel all the credit in the world, because
for sure. Yep. They ultimately listen.
And I have to say, the Silver Surfer Black collection, it's like one of the nicest packages I've seen from them in a long time. I mean, it's perfect.
I was
size, beautiful package. And now they're going to do a director's cut edition with some of the, your raw art, uncolored, black and white, some sketches. I mean, that's fantastic. So
yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Clearly, they know what they have now, and between the big two, the last few years, to me, Marvel's been much more interesting. Like they are more willing to take chances with guys who aren't, house style.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of really powerful and unique artists, doing stuff at, I think, both of them. But yeah, like I am kind of unapologetically have a leaning towards Marvel. But yeah, that's there's a lot of artists that are really inspiring right now. That every time I see some of their work pop up, I'm like, yes, more like that. Hire more like that.
Can we talk about what's coming up next now that Silver Surfer Black is done?
Little bit.
This is what people have been waiting for. So
I know. I'll give a little bit. This year being what it was, the thing that I'm working on got pushed back. Pretty much by I was originally supposed to start beginning of the year, got pushed back. That's why if you kind of see a lot of odds and ends from me this year, the short Spider-Man story that I did, I got a short Batman story with James Tynion coming out in Batman Black and White. So I did a lot of odds and ends this year in prep. But the thing that I'm doing next, it's going to be a series at Marvel, and I will leave it at that. And it's going to be, I'm fine saying it's going to be the best thing I ever did, for sure. I think that every time I go into a new thing, and if I'm ever wrong, then who cares? I think this one's going to be the best. All right.
You guys heard it. The best thing he's ever done.
The best thing I've ever done. No question. Don't question me.
No pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I'll put it on myself. It's good. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What time are we at here? Okay. We're just about there. I want to talk about something real quick.
Yeah.
I think most people who are watching or, actually are commenting, know what I went through this year with my family, or actually the last few years. My wife did pass this year, unfortunately. But we were getting treatment in New York City. We were living on the East Coast for a while. Then we were flying back and forth. But every time I was in New York, Trad would always reach out. I mean, all the guys out there would, Cliff, Paul, Ian, and everyone would. It's just very supportive, and I really felt that. I appreciated it. But Trad was the one guy that every time I was out there would call. Hey, let's get a bite. Let's hang out. You want to see some art, and I know you did it. And I wasn't always in the mood for it, but I always appreciated that you did it.
Absolutely.
And there were times it absolutely did cheer me up, and I always love seeing the new art. So yeah, I think part of it too probably is without saying too much, you've gone through something similar in your own life, so I think you could relate. We've talked all about Trad, the artist. He's incredible. You guys love his stuff, but Trad's just a good guy. He's a good person.
Thank you.
I want to acknowledge that. I'll never forget it. So thanks, Trad.
Absolutely.
Along those lines, I've spent a lot of time and very busy these last few months fundraising for a charity, and it's been very successful. And we are now going to create a fund named after my family with Paltown. So it'll be in partnership with Paltown. They will be the ones who will actually administer the fund, and my function is just to raise money for it. It's a small nonprofit, very minimal overhead. So bulk of the money will actually be going for something that I have initiated, which is a program to help patients who need financial assistance in seeking a second opinion. And they're very specific reasons for that. And maybe I'll talk about that with Bill. But in any case, the money will be going directly to patients in the form of financial assistance. And a big part of the fundraising will be, our auctions. And we've done that throughout the years. NAACP, we do over ACLU, but the one this over the summer for in support of Black Lives Matters was our biggest one yet. So it'll be very similar to that. Our guys have been very, very generous in providing art for our next big fundraiser, which I am setting up for in the next few weeks, maybe early December. So keep an eye out for that. But I don't think anyone's stepped up quite as big as Trad. Trad did something amazing for us, and I sort of teased an art reveal, and this is it. This is the first time you'll get to see the piece that will be auctioned in a couple of weeks, and and I will announce it, of course. But you ready to show it, Trad?
All right, yeah, I gotta go grab it. It's over here on my art table. I'll be right back.
All right. So while he's grabbing it, there it is. There it is. Look at that. That thing is a monster. Spidey and Miss Marvel. What a beauty. Thanks, Strad. And that's a big one too, as they say.
All right, did everyone get a good look? We good?
Yeah, 14 by 17.
Yeah, I've been working bigger this year. Like I said, it's I don't know. Something struck me. I don't know if it was you get whatever wrapped up in the constraints of doing the same page size 1,000 times, and so this year has been a 14 by 17 or 18 by 24 year for me, and somehow that has the small things will rejuvenate you artistically, and could also be one of those things where it was just hanging out with Ian Bertram and Paul Pope, and they both work like 9,000 by 400, like they're just wow, these giant pieces. So it kind of got me excited to you go into their studios, and it's very inspiring to see.
That's what is incredible to me, that I didn't expect or couldn't foresee, but you guys aren't just incredible individual talents. There's when we are grouped together, you guys just make each other better. It's
for sure.
That part is incredibly gratifying. Just a really nice, unexpected bonus, and as good as the art was, it's even better now.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like Ian's a good friend of mine, and that's something that we always make a point to do is art shares, both specifically in previous years, obviously in person, where we hang out and bring all our art with us and look at everything that we're doing. So it's kind of he and I have talked about it, but like Little Bird and Silver Surfer to me feel like sibling books, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if that would come across to anybody, but he and I look at it, and I'll sometimes tell him, I'll be like, yo dude, that panel I ripped you off, and he'll be like, oh, in this panel I ripped you off.
They're your children. They are raised together. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get into the questions, Trad. We've got about 15 minutes left. I'm probably gonna have to cut you off so you see me raise my finger, because we do have a lot of questions. I want to try and get to them all.
Okay.
So as I
fire away.
A lot of very nice comments. A lot of people saying hi. Thanks to everyone. But let's see. I'll read one comment real quick. It's John's Comics with Kids. He says Silver Surfer Black was easily the best Marvel comic from 2019. Such a beautiful look at the surfer psyche and place in Marvel history. Very nice. Okay, so here's a question from Victor Bracamontes. Is that thought process the same for when you do your amazing commissions?
The kind of like picking a challenge, I'm guessing Victor is talking about. Yeah, for sure. Like, I do feel like commissions are a good place for me to try new things out. And you will see, like, if you follow things chronologically, you will often see me very kind of obsessively connect on to a train of thought and repeat that through commissions. Like the ones that I did this year, I was really focused on patterns. So if you look at like the Batman commission that I did and the Silver Surfer and the Luther Strode and a few other ones, there's all, and the Berserk one, I was just really obsessed with doing these kind of like square and circle patterns. In the background, I was using like gray tones. And it's like each one I would finish, I'd be like, I'm not done with that train of thought yet. You know what I mean? So I'd try it again and again. And I think, you know, I don't think any pages from the Batman Black and White has been shown yet, but I am following that same train of thought there. So yeah, definitely.
The Berserk one actually is Victor's. So
yay, there you go. Yes, yeah, that was early on. I did the Silver Surfer one and then went to the Berserk one next, and I was like, oh, I did patterns on the first one, but what if I warped the patterns? You know, so I don't know. Being an artist is picking an obsession and working through it for a couple months.
Next question is from Yo Curry. Love your work. What were the 4 or 5 things for each book that inspired you? Would help us as fans appreciate your work even more. Okay, we don't have quite time to say 4 or 5 things for every book. So why don't we just go with Silver Surfer Black? What were the 4 or 5 things that?
Well, Silver Surfer Black. Some of the 4 or 5 things. Samurai Jack. Yoshitaka Amano. Frank Miller. Why am I drawing a blank on this sculptor's name? They're one of my favorites.
Rodin.
Yeah, Rodin. And
for the number 5 cover anyway.
Oh yeah, no, and for the whole series, just the way that Rodin puts like weight on figures. So yeah, that was some of my big ones for that. I don't know if I got to 5, but
good enough.
But those were some of my big ones there.
Cool. From Delhi in UK, Trad, why did you leave Instagram and will you come back?
You know, that's a big question that reaches beyond comics and more into human nature and existentialism. But I don't like social media. I think that it can be used. I think that some people use it in a powerful and positive way, but it worries me and scares me in a lot of ways, socially. So I don't think I'll be coming back, but I don't know if somehow those places turn around to not be marketing machines. Maybe who knows? But yeah, at the moment,
before
Felix manipulative.
Yeah, before Felix Comic Art, you never would have found me on social media. I mean, I never posted, I didn't even look at it, But yeah, I'm part of the marketing machine now. But that's it. That's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. We got another question. This one's from Mike Sitchy. Will you ever publish your art in just black and white, in artist edition?
I'd love to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how artist editions work. I don't know who makes that decision. You know what I mean? So that's not my call, but I will do a black and white book at some point, and if the opportunity arises to print a whole series in black and white, the Legacy of Luther Strode or the New World or Silver Surfer Black, I think those would be cool to see in big full size.
For sure.
So yes, tell them to hit me up. Artist edition people.
It's just a matter of time. It needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing about artist edition is they it's vintage stuff. They go backwards, but there is new art that warrants it. So I think that window is just going to shrink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Next question from T.R. Shad. Trad, any plans to work with Donnie again in the near future?
I I would love to work with Donnie again. It's I can't say much about the stuff that either of us have coming up. I think that we both have a lot on our plate, but I know that the desire is there. You know, I've had pretty great experiences with collaborations before, and it's kind of like a bummer when you work as slow as I do, because I'm like, I want to work with all of you again. So in time, but yeah, like not, you won't see a new book from me and him in December. I'll tell you that.
Real quick, Chad, I totally forgot to bring this up. And sorry to turn this into something of a freak show, but can you hold up your left pinky for the?
I don't know if it. Can you see the?
There it is. There it is. And ladies and gentlemen, that
there
is the source of the power.
Yeah, the red's a birthmark. Yeah. Turns purple when it's cold. That's just from drawing a little too much.
You have a tool handy, a pen.
Yeah, let me grab it. I got to do the parlor trick. Yeah, I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Thanks for all the questions, everyone. We'll do our best to get to them. We're getting through them pretty good, though.
So yeah, I'm a lefty, and I draw like this. So
that's just bizarre, Trad. That is just simply bizarre. But hey,
don't raise your kids to do it like this. But if they do, let them do it. You know, maybe they'll figure it out.
Okay. Let's see. This question is from Joel. Trad, what was the project that gave you more fun? The one that was more challenging, and the one that now you would like to do?
I don't know that I would consider drawing fun per se. You know, it's not fun in the same way that, like, you know, throwing a football is, you know what I mean? Or like hanging out with friends, but the challenging ones are where I think they are where you feel accomplished and when you feel satisfied. I feel like if you're not challenged, you are going to feel, I feel anxious. I feel unfulfilled. So yeah, the challenging ones, that's why I want to sit down at the drawing table every day. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to live an unchallenged life, because I feel like that's, you know, what's the point? You know, that's give me a challenge. Give me something difficult. Tell me I can't jump that high, and let me try.
All right, Trad, you know, I'm going to take a break from the questions real quick because we are running a little short on time, and I wanted to get to this. You actually got sent a fan letter.
Oh,
and,
yeah?
I'm gonna read it to you, okay?
Oh, yeah?
Forgive me, audience, my eyes are poor, so I'm gonna do my best here. You can see this is written like really tiny.
Wow, that's amazing. I don't know.
Hi, Trad. I have to start out by saying thank you. Thank you for working so hard to develop your incomparable superhuman skill and tradical style, as I like to call it. Thank you for going above and beyond on every page. In general, thank you for doing what you do. I got back into comics around 2010, and my first experience with your work was Ghostwriter. It took me a brief adjustment period to wrap my head around your work, but once I got it, I'm completely serious when I say that I've never looked at any art the same as I did before seeing your work. It changed my perspective. Also, if I may, thank you for tackling my Silver Surfer MC Escher commission with such enthusiasm and dedication. It's my favorite commission ever, and very dear to me for many reasons. I waited for years for an opportunity to get on your list. I anguished with myself on what to get, thinking I might not get a second chance. My mind was blown. Many other collectors shared their astonishment with me. Unfortunately, I missed out on your last commission list, but I'm excited to see what your next project is in hopes of scoring a piece of what I'm sure will raise the bar even higher and push the limits of what we think is possible further and further. I digress. Actually, you just told him you're going for it. Okay, back to this letter. All that said, please accept this token of my appreciation and gratitude. I work at an OR, primarily in neurosurgery in Portland, Oregon. And these cards are everywhere. I'm gonna show you a card. This is what the card looks like, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They come with sterile gowns, so the wearer can tie the gown without contaminating their hands by having someone else hold on to the end so the wearer can spin around and tie off the gown. And you can see this is where you grab it.
Mm-hmm.
Attach the gown. This is where you grab it. Keep there's no contamination. I use them for notes, etc. But when I have a few moments of downtime, I like to draw a doodle on them. It usually takes me a few weeks to complete one. I wanted to make this especially for you with a surferish theme as a nod to my appreciation for your work and the inspiration it gives a one-time life as an artist dreamer like myself. Thank you, Trad. Best regards, Justin Stafford. And Justin's in the audience. And
Justin,
this is
means the world, man.
This is the card, okay? And, and you're going to get an art reveal, Trad.
Oh yes.
Here you go. Here is
dang,
Justin.
That is amazing. Wait, do I get to? Are you going to send that to me? Do I get to have that?
Yours. And
that's incredible.
I love what he did here in the eye.
I know. That was the first thing I was drawn to was the perspective you did in there. That I can see the Escher love in both of our spirits. That means that's amazing.
That's coming to you, Trad. You got a surprise too. All right.
Thank you. Seriously, that was.
Let's try knock out a couple more questions, okay? From Rob Rush, Trad, who's your favorite currently working artist?
Gosh, gotta say, I know this is gonna seem like whatever that's called, nepotism of sorts, just because a lot of these people are close to me, but I really do. They just inspire me. James Herron, I think is Lord Master Top Dog. Ian Bertram, Andrew McLean, his stuff on Headlopper, massively inspirational. Those are some of the ones just right off the top of my head that move me every time. I could go on. I have so many that I want to say, but I'll leave it at that for now.
Here's a question. I think it's more for me, but I'll get to address something. When is the art drop for the pages for Batman and Spider-Man? And I'll talk about that. It's from Brian Lake, and I'm sorry, Brian, and I'm sorry to all the other collectors out there. That art is not for sale.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. That's every now and then there's stuff that I just keep for myself.
I've had long talks about this with Trad, but at this point, at least anything post Silver Surfer, there's not going to be much available, which is okay. But to all of you who already have your pages, hang on to them. That's all I can tell you. Hang on to them. Okay, let's keep going. See if we can get another question in here. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling down. If I miss one, I apologize.
Feel free to.
Here's a question from Will Knapp. How do you decide what colorist you're going to work with on each book? Does it just depend on scheduling?
That's a good question. Never have I made a decision based on scheduling. It's always been, with Felipe, I didn't know Felipe, and he's who I've probably worked with the most over the years, and that was just a lucky thing where Justin Jordan has fine taste. So he put us together, and we, I really feel like we kind of like grew up together artistically. Like obviously we had our own journeys, but that one was just luck of the draw. But with Surfer, it was just one of those things where it's just like I knew I wanted Dave Stewart. Like another one of the inspirations on that book was, in real deep cut here, Hellboy. And I just knew following, looking at Dave's work on Hellboy and the way that, no matter what's going on, Hellboy is just like red on the page. I was like, I want this like this, but Silver Surfer is just white on the page. You know what I mean? And a very, kind of more traditional, like older comic take on things, kind of a more local color and whatnot, such as you see in the, Buscema Stanley Surfer. So yeah, when I knew that he was right on that one. And it's usually something like that where it's like I have a few people that are in my mind as like I'm going to work with them someday. And I do draw slightly differently knowing who's gonna color it. Like the way that I drew with Heather coloring on the New World, or or for example, when I was just drawing stuff for Batman Black and White with just in black and white, I draw differently knowing the talents of the collaborators that I'm working with. So it's definitely mindful.
So congrats to Will. You got the last question. I'm sorry we weren't able to get to everyone else's questions, but who knows? Maybe we'll do this again. Thanks a lot for taking the time, Trad. Thank you for everything. Thanks for that art. Can't wait to
Thank you again, Justin. Thanks to everybody on here. I'll try not to be so much of a hermit, but it's kind of just what I am. So I'll do my best to come say hey every now and then. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Trad. Bill, if you're there, if you're listening, you can go ahead and jump in. But you know what? Until Bill does, Bill, if you're listening, jump in anytime. But while I got Trad on, I'm going to sneak in another couple questions. Hey, yeah. Until we get kicked off, we'll do it. Let's see. Hey guys, from Dan. Any other Dream Characters titles you would like to work on, Trad? Wolverine. That's one day I'm going to do something with either X-Men or Wolverine. Wolverine's my all-time favorite comic character. So someday I got to rip off Barry Windsor Smith and do something there. A question from one of the very impressive fan artists, Justin Stafford. His question is, what was the driving force creatively for New World? Gosh, I was really into animation at that time, so I was pushing that. And that one we kind of worked backwards, Alish and I, and we kind of built the characters and the world almost first. We were doing it simultaneously, but basically I would draw characters based on basically like years of conversation and whatnot. So it was it was an exercise in sci-fi and cartooning, and that was some of the stuff there that I really wanted to. I wanted to try my hand at world building and at character design and stuff. So for me, that was a lot of my thought process on that one, of just trying to make kind of like a beautiful world, Let's see. I had some thoughts about New World that actually probably not for now. We'll say that for another one. That could be each of these books could be a whole thing. Exactly, because having gotten to know you, can almost get a read on you and what's going on in your life when I'm looking at your art. Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, there's stuff that dictates a lot of my work that I will never be comfortable talking about, and you see a lot of that in the New World and in Silver Surfer. Tough couple of years. Made some books that I'm happy out of those years that I'm happy with. Here is another question from Will. If the style of each new project is a response to how it was working on the previous, what about the work on Silver Surfer Black is affecting this upcoming project? That's a good one. I think at this point, people have an expectation of what my taste is and of what my style is, and it's just something that I try to not purely be reactionary, but to be aware of those things so that I can subvert expectations, not only of expectations of the medium, but of expectations of me as an artist. And also, that one, I was in a very, Surfer was during a really tumultuous time in my life, and this one is more at a peaceful time in my life, thankfully, and I want to be attuned to that, you know what I mean, in the story that I'm telling. So I don't entirely know how it's going to look yet, but that's the joy of it. I'm in the early parts of it, and I'm really excited about it. So
I actually think that is a perfect place to stop. So thanks again, Trad. Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone for coming to check out this chat.
Yeah, thank you again, everybody.
Okay, and I guess I will jump in with Bill. Hey, Bill, thanks a lot for letting us go over a little bit.
No. What's that, Trad?
Do I just hang up now?
Yeah,
do I just
hang up?
All right, see you losers later. Yeah.
Thanks, Trad.
Yeah. My apologies, everybody. I didn't want to cut into their chat because they did start a couple minutes late. And at the same time, it was going so well. And there were so many people in attendance. I just felt like there's no reason why they shouldn't continue. And I would just delete the record of the chat that Felix and I were going to do, which was a separate chat altogether, and just kind of marry our chat into this one when they were done. So it's worked out well. So yes, so Felix, we finally are here together. You know, it's we have talked about, you know, doing something here or there, and then I forgot that we had talked about doing something together, and now we're finally able to chat about things. And I know I get your newsletter, so you know, I know that you were making a joke about what I wrote about, what we were going to talk about. I'm sitting there thinking I could just write anything. I didn't know what to write, so
no, I had nothing to do based on what you wrote. Just the chat we had about what this panel would be, and you know, it could be anything. I guess I'll just start off by saying that you know, I started the podcast 5 years ago now, and you were one of the guys I really wanted to talk to. But the funny thing is, you know, when we talked about a month or so ago, you know, you were telling me, actually a couple months ago now, you were telling me how, you know, you were having a lot of fun doing this content, and you know, that when I had started doing it, you were skeptical, and you know, you didn't think it, you know, like, why bother with this sort of thing? It's like a lot of work for nothing. Actually, you weren't the only one. I got that reaction a lot. But you're saying now you're doing it. You're having fun. And by the way, how come I never had you on my podcast? And I said, Bill, you forget. I have been trying to get you on, but you know, before pandemic, I'd always done these in person. Usually I'll go visit a collector at their home, or we'll do it at a convention. And with you, we were always trying to do it at either San Diego, New York, but you know, schedules just couldn't mesh. But you know, so for me, this is a 5-year odyssey.
Right.
Come to an end.
Yeah. Well, there were a few years there, felt like 3-4 years in a row where I didn't go to San Diego. You know, I planned to go this year, and then that fell through. But I think I'd missed the 3 prior to that, and I did go to the 2 prior New Yorks. But yeah, it just I don't know, just never really worked out. And like you said, you know, early on when we were building your website, and you were talking about all the different little components that you wanted to have, whether it was the you wanted to be able to do the YouTube videos, and you wanted to be able to post the chat, and you wanted to have the ads, and there were all these things, and I'm like, well, you know, if that's what you want to do, I'm happy to program the site to allow you to have those things shared there, you know. But at the time, of course, I looked at it and just thought, oh, that's just going to be an awful lot of work for not a lot of gain. But I was wrong. I was completely wrong, and it wasn't just me doing it. I mean, you know, a couple years into your business, it was quite clear that those things that you did, you know, were things that separated you from other dealers, other reps. And, you know, I think it, you know, probably was at the end of the day, a really good strategic advantage to do that, because it takes time. And I think that, you know, so your customers see you put the effort in, the people that you rep, you know, see that. And because most reps have other jobs, you know, especially, you know, well, I'd say almost all of them, not many are retired yet. You know, they don't have the time to commit to doing the extra work. And that was something that, you know, you've put in since the beginning. But like I said, early on, I thought, oh, it's nothing. I mean, I would never do that for CAF. And then look at me now, you know, now that we've gotten into COVID and whatnot, I'd rather be doing this than writing articles. You know, it's just a lot more fun. The interaction with the people who follow us, you know, and participate in the chats. It's just, you know, it's just more engaging. And for somebody like myself, who's always been really, you know, introverted, this has been, it's been a revelation for me in its own way. Because I'd go to cons and I'd just be happy to kind of talk with my friends and not really socialize with other collectors that, that would come up and want to talk about calf and things. And, and it wasn't because I didn't want to. I really I'm just about the shyest person you usually meet. But doing this has just kind of broken me out of my my mold. It's like I look forward to the day when cons come back. Anybody that wants me to spearhead a panel in front of everybody, I'm ready. It's like I finally, I feel like this has been a really good opportunity to just try different things, and I've enjoyed it a lot, and I've enjoyed the interactions with the the people we've gotten to interview, or just being able to hang out with the other dealers a little bit more and learn from them. It's like these guys know a lot, and then when you actually sit down and talk with them, it's for me it's just a lot of fun. I learned something, and again, it's been a very good time. But you were the one who as JKZA, I can't read it, it's a little bit small. He said we're the trailblazer, that's for sure. So my hat's off to you.
Well, you beat me to it, because I wanted to talk about you. I know you like to sort of open these shows as sort of an origin story or whatever. I'm sure at this point, people know yours. And I'm not going to ask you about that. I simply want to make a statement that I think history will regard you very well. I think you are absolutely the key figure in this hobby, in what it's become. If it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for comic art fans, we wouldn't be here. And I'm sure there are a lot of collectors who will think, for better or for worse. I think for better. And just thanks. Thanks for everything you've done. I also think that what you're doing now, becoming more visible, just being out there more, I feel like CAF is bigger than it's ever been. And I'm not the first guy to join CAF, but I joined as soon as I got into the hobby. And I'll also say too that within a day or two of joining, I signed up for the premium membership, and it's been absolutely worth it. And I didn't know I'd be getting anything out of it at the time. I just knew that I was going to be spending a lot of time on this site. I could tell I was going to get a lot of enjoyment out of this site, and it was worthy of support. And I encourage everyone out there, if you're not a premium member, just give it a shot. Give it a shot. If you don't want to do it out of charity, well then just try it and see what you get out of it. Because I think you'll find it has value. You look at any of the collections on CAF, and you look at the galleries that are particularly impressive to you. I will guarantee you the vast majority of them, it's not because they could write the biggest checks necessarily. It's because they hustle, and any edge you can get it's going to make your collection better. You'll see, and CAF provides a lot of tools to sort of to give you an edge. So not telling you to join just merely to support what I think is a very important site, but also you'll get something out of it too. I actually have a lot more to say, but I've always thought that again, you are a very important person in the development of this hobby. Yes, the market probably wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for this for CAF, but I do believe the hobby's much better off for having CAF anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that I appreciate hearing that, Felix. I really do. It's I've always kind of approached things, I do things that I want to do and that I like to do, and then sometimes I'm lucky and I do a good job at it, and other times it's just but I've always kind of pursued whatever was in my heart and what I wanted to tackle, and I have definitely always been kind of an organizer. Even when I was in art school, I would do projects that involve the whole class, whether I was in a sculpture class or a drawing class or something mixed media. my senior project in sculpture was, I built boats for every, like these boats that would be about 3 or 4 feet long, and for every student in the class, and we went out to a pond and had a regatta. And so I've always kind of, even being an introvert, that was kind of like probably like my way of like socializing. I had to do something to create the opportunity to get to interact with people, because I was probably too clumsy in conversation to get out and do that. And so CAF was one of those things. I always said CAF was built because I didn't know how to meet anybody in the hobby. And I look at, you look at, Comic Art Live as a show, and whatever it may evolve into, it's, it's the same kind of thing. You're building a platform for people to get together and interact with me too. But, there was a side conversation I was having with somebody else from one of the earlier panels, and they said, those guys were doing X, Y, Z. And I said, well, that's great. We brought them together, and then they did this. It's like, it's not any different than if you had a convention in San Diego where Felix and his crew went out to this restaurant after the show, and these other guys decided to do a bar, and these other guys just decided to go back to the hotel and, kick back near the entryway or whatever. I like creating opportunities for people to interact, even if it's not to my advantage, personally, because I think that it just makes life better. It makes experiences better. And that's why, that's why for so long, I really never knew that we were really achieving those goals through CAF until we started doing these chats. And I was hearing how important CAF was to people. I was kind of felt it was, but nobody ever told me. You figure I'm going into year 18, February 1st, CAF will have been online for 18 years. And we really never, kind of heard the types of things that CAF meant to people. And, and like I said, I always just kind of build it the way I wanted to. And what's always been fun is, I like being challenged by, other entities, and I don't mind, like that Comic Art Tracker site, when that came out, you wanted to be in it. And initially I was skeptical. And then, I kind of looked at it as a way to not only participate with somebody else's product, but, to take some of the things that they were doing and kind of beef up the things that I already had, but had neglected for so long. Because, like he crawled sites, I crawled sites 15 years ago. I just stopped doing it when I was, because for me as a programmer, and I'm not the programmer, my wife is, but me as a big thinker, I felt like building people's sites and having access to data in a real-time format was the way to go. And also it was great because I've gotten to work with so many art dealers. It's been probably one of the most fun things about owning CAF is the fact that I've been able to be friends with you, and just, anybody from Mark on down to this new site that I'm doing for somebody who's out of the country. I would never have these opportunities if it wasn't for CAF, and then coming up with these ideas to kind of broaden the hobby. So I know I'm rambling a bit, but it boils just, down to, I like creating events. And I think I've always done that from the time I was a kid to now. And I can't see, ever not doing it. And I think that, I'm looking at Comic Art Live as kind of a jumping point. I mean, I think it can be so many more things than just a show every 6 months. I think that there's, a lot of opportunity. You and I kind of chatted about different, something in a few months ago. And I think that there's a really fun opportunity to make the hobby even more interesting for everybody, and not being so isolated, where everybody's so isolated in their fiefdoms and stuff. I think that there's a lot of potential. I can't wait and I mentioned this the other day, I can't wait for the show to be over, because I feel like when Comic Art Live is over, I'm going to be able to start focusing on, what those next things are. And for once in my life, I'm not stacking 10 projects on top of me, after that, like I did with the first Comic Art Live. I don't even know if I'm going to tackle any special projects that would of any size other than working on my own stuff, CAF and Comic Art Live. So anyway,
a lot going on, and I think, I don't know if the right word is stagnant or stale, but this is what, my 16th year in CAF, and it was very, very exciting. But then it was just the same, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. It didn't expect all this sudden burst of this energy. I think it's fantastic, because I've heard since I started the site, and started doing, producing the content just from so many collectors who say that, they kind of collect in isolation. They really don't know anyone. And, that this sort of gives them a little sense of community. And I think, obviously, what you're doing now is just building on that. It's just, I think there are certain people who sort of present themselves as ambassadors to the hobby, self-proclaimed ambassadors to the hobby, that I don't think are the best representatives of the hobby, but I think you are, absolutely. So, keep doing what you're doing, and I'll tell you, like, I think the hobby, the market would not be what it is today if it wasn't for you, and that inspired me, on a smaller scale. I wanted to grow the modern art segment. I wanted to grow the market share for modern art, and I think certainly our slice of the pie is bigger than it's ever been. And if I may say, I believe that's directly attributable to what I've done for the last several years.
Without question. I mean, you can just see it in the weekly market reports that I do for the comic art dealers. You're always in the, if you're not number one, number two, number three, you're always in the top five, which is remarkable when, you have some dealers who are selling $20,000 pieces and maybe another $10,000 or $15,000 piece. But for your sales to be comparable to theirs on a regular basis, is a testament to the quality of the individuals that you represent and your ability to set a market value for their work that really is appropriate for the time. And again, my hat's off to you, because you've definitely done something that, other than repping Jim Lee, that lucky devil. I mean, it just, you can't have that kind of volume of sales, without having done a lot of legwork, grunt work to kind of build up not only your audience too. I mean, I work with you have the second biggest mailing list, after me. So you're number two of all the mailing lists that we host. And like I told you early, before the beginning of this year, bandwidth wise, your site eats up a lot of bandwidth. I mean, it's not calf bandwidth, but no other dealer comes close to yours, as far as like the amount of, gigabytes per month that the site takes up. And, and again, that's a testament to the fact that you're in the search engines well. I mean, I think in a way, like that's me doing a good job, because it's funny, I always like to see who comes up when you type comic art for sale and that sort of thing. And it's pretty much everybody I've worked with. So, that's always been one of the advantages that I felt, working with us. It was just it's not just the marketing through CAF and that sort of thing. It's that I kind of know what I'm doing, and I'm not like going to give you an out of the box solution that you can, go to GoDaddy and set up a WordPress site. So, I take pride in doing those sorts of things and doing them well too. So,
it's like what you said earlier, all the sort of bells and whistles on the site, and maybe the value of it isn't totally obvious, and maybe that little incremental value is not worth the effort for anyone else to do. Although I think everyone's sort of doing a version of what I've been doing, to one degree or another. The idea was, when I became a rep, I did not want to be just an average rep. Certainly not interested in mediocrity. I wanted to just not be average, and so that's sort of the idea. Behind just putting in that work. It's not. I'll put it this way: the environment now for repping for modern artists is completely different from just 5-6 years ago. I mean, completely different. When I started, I was telling my friend Dave Mandel, I think I'm going to give this rep thing a shot. And his immediate reaction was, why are you going to become a rep? You should be a dealer. dealers make money, reps don't make any money. You know, it's like, you know, you're foolish. And I just said, well, you know, for a lot of reasons, I'm really not interested in being a dealer. But I think I could do something with repping. I mean, first of all, I think I'd have more fun, but also I think there's a lot of untapped potential there.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can try to do something different and see where it goes. And so, you know, you've seen, because you know you see all the back end stuff for all the dealers. You know, I didn't just want to be, you know, like top rep, because you know, there are, listen, there are good reps for sure, you know, before me, no question. But overall, it's a bit of a mixed bag, you know.
Well, there's a lot of guys. Yeah, well, you know, I'd never name names, but yeah, there's reps that are very, you know, that are aggressive, and then there's a lot of passive reps as well. And you know, I mean, to each their own. I think everybody, you know, it's just how it is. You kind of, it's the I don't know, it's the business acumen of the rep. I mean, some people are more happy to go at a slower pace and kind of do things differently, and I say differently, and it's not like it's different. It's just that's their MO. That's how they kind of grow their business. And some people are happy where they're at, and they're not worried about, you know, breaking the mold. I mean, I think that's kind of, you know, where a lot of people are. But I would say this, just so everybody's really clear too. To me, you know, an art rep is different than a dealer. I don't think I could ever be a dealer, because, you know, when I talk with, you know, on our comic art live chats with Glenn and Will and Mike, I mean, they're, you know, it's so much fun talking with those guys, because they're super, you know, they're super much smarter about the hobby and the artists that they love. But you know, they have to haggle and wheel and deal, and I have never been somebody who can. You know, I could never lowball somebody, much less you know, go into this. I would never go to you, Felix, or you couldn't do it with you, but say go to Mike and say, what's the best you take on that? And that's like the first question all these guys are used to getting. I could never operate in an environment like that, because I would be like, it's the price I put on it, pal. You know, I don't price things to haggle, you know, and or be like one of those guys that has, you know, that listed at, you know, 10 grand on a site, and then when you contact him, he's like, oh, that was a typo, it should have been 13,000. You know, I can't do that. But as a rep, like, and we've kind of talked about this with regards to the market data, prices are the prices. There's no haggling involved. There's no trade involved. That's what it's sold for.
Let's talk about that. You know, because you do report the market data, and you know, like you say, I'm up there, which I always hoped would be possible, but I never assumed would be possible. But you know, here we are. I don't think anybody could have ever imagined that modern art would sell on par with vintage art before. And that's that can be a separate discussion as to relative value and whatnot. But you know, I really feel like we did accomplish something, because again, I did not set out to be the top rep. You know, I wanted to be up there with the dealers. I sort of wanted to cross over to the dealers, because there's still two separate and distinct markets, you know, vintage and modern. And modern has sort of been, you know, viewed as the ghetto of comic art, and you know, reps are, you know, very low on the totem pole, like Dave. You know, why do you want to be a rep? You know, that's just dumb. You know, but I wanted to elevate all of it and bring more attention to modern art, because you know, it sounds like a pitch, but the reality is, you know, all art started off as modern art. You know, time will tell what lasts and what matters, but ultimately, you know, everything that's valuable now was once upon a time just something new too. Mm-hmm. And you know, when you or you know, I set out to identify generational talents, and I'm pretty picky about who I rep and who I have on the site. You know, I think everyone adds value to the group, as well as being being their own person and having their own market. But you know, I think that if comic art is still a thing 20, 30 years from now, the guys I'm repping today, will still matter, and they'll be important. And then, they're young. They still have, 20, 30 years of work ahead of them to make that resume even stronger. So this is not my pitch to sell our art, because frankly we're selling out of it now anyway. But this was part of my thinking in starting this and building it the way I have. And like I said, market share for modern art is greater than ever. 5, 6 years ago, artists weren't clamoring to join reps. It wasn't like a very attractive thing. A lot of artists were just glad to do their own thing because they didn't really see the value in joining a rep. Now 5, 6 years later, artists are climbing over themselves to join reps. And I can't rep everyone, so then that creates opportunity for other reps to start. And and now it's a different thing. It's like, if you want to start off as a new rep now, you can't really get away with what a rep could before. Like you said, the sort of passive approach. I think I am the bar, and I will always try to be that bar. But that really is for the benefit of everyone, as far as I'm concerned, of artists, of collectors. Reps have to. This is a performance-based business. At the end of the day, you got to perform, whether it's for the artists or the collector community. And I think most everyone gets that now, especially new reps. But even older reps, are figuring it out, and you can see it. A lot of it is just sort of just lifting what I do. If you follow social media at all, a lot of the posts, a lot of the messaging is it sounds very similar these days. And the emphasis on newsletters and mailing lists and whatnot. That just wasn't really a thing before, but now it is. And I think that's good for collectors. And there's certain things I've done. It's like I thought there was real potential in marketing complete issues. Up to this point, if a complete issue ever sold, it was just a rare, random event. It happened every once in a while, but nobody was actively marketing them or pushing them or promoting them. And I made that a key part of our business strategy, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. And it's sort of been off to the races now. I think since then, obviously, other artists, other sellers are going to benefit from that because, there's demand now for it, but that demand had to be built. So, 5, 6 years ago, it didn't happen so easily. You didn't have collectors just coming up to you and asking for complete issues. And in the same way with, commissions. Commissions before were generally very standard, and it was sort of a cheap, quote unquote cheap. This is just a ridiculously expensive hobby, no matter where you are. But that was just sort of a cheap scratch of the itch, and the art kind of, it was just something fun to do, but the art wasn't necessarily spectacular. Well, I wanted our commissions to stand out. I wanted our commissions to be spectacular. I thought if we could do that, the market would follow. And I wanted to have deluxe commissions. And yes, I think a lot of people are sort of used to what commissions have been. It's hard for them to wrap their mind around what a commission can cost these days. But you have to see these things. That some of our guys are pulling off. And I think once people get them, hold them in their hands, they become believers. I talk about how again, it sounds self-serving, but I am a collector first, and I don't say anything that I don't actually believe or that I don't want myself. But when I bought my first complete issue, the feeling of just flipping through the portfolio, and it's not just a random page, but being able to see this thing as a whole, in its entirety, it's a feeling like no other. And I can tell that to you, but you don't really know until you experience it for yourself. Well, guess what? I think anybody who gets a complete issue, they understand.
Right. I mean, we could talk a bit about complete issues, I think, because I mean, yes, I think that it's definitely a good thing, but do you have some kind of agreement where they can't break it up? What kind of, I mean, maybe that's personal. No, you don't put any stipulation on somebody buying a complete issue?
None. I don't, because once someone pays for something, that's their property. It's their right to do whatever they want with it. However, I will say this. If someone is buying complete issues and breaking them up, I may choose not to sell them another one. Then that's my choice, right?
Right.
I mean,
Of course.
when they have the art, they can decide what they want to do with it, but I just may decide not to help them again.
Right.
Because when I sell a complete issue, there is no discount, but there's no premium either. And to me, as someone who's tried to put together a complete issue, I would say I could justify a premium on a complete issue more. I don't even have to discuss a discount. But it is simply the aggregate cost of all the pages. And there really is no opportunity to flip. If someone wants to do a quick flip, I mean, there are cases where someone could do really well because the market is just completely blown up after the fact. But at that moment, I mean, they're paying top dollar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But well, so the other thing for me is, and again, I would be concerned. Well, I guess I wouldn't be concerned. You're not concerned because you're selling it, but I would think that. Because how quickly when you list the whole issue on your site and you sell all the pages separately, everything sells out, almost, regularly in a few minutes. Say in 15 minutes, the whole issue can be gone. So there's that kind of demand for some of these pieces. So when you sell a complete issue to somebody, you've just excluded 25 other buyers from even having a slice of that. And considering there is such a demand for a lot of the artists that you rep and the work that you're dropping, don't you think in some weird ways you're probably getting a few guys going, well, shoot, man, I would have gladly picked up a page from that, and you probably get at least 20 guys saying that whenever you tell them you're selling a book complete.
That can be a tough balance.
Right. Well, that's what I would think. I would almost not want to sell complete issues because I would be worried about not being able to spread it around because I'm already having a hard time spreading it around. So when and on top of that, it's not like if I might be mistaken, but I haven't ever seen you really promote a complete issue sale. You let people know when they are selling complete. So that means almost like a deal happens kind of before the work is even available on the market. So nobody even has the chance to think about the opportunity.
Well, what I tell people is, look, if you are reading comics today, if you follow comics news at all, what's coming out. And so I tell people, look, if you have any interest in anything that's coming out, let me know. I don't need to even say specifically, but people, they look at my roster, they know who's working on what. And so they already have an idea. They're already preparing. Now, in terms of which issues we break up, we don't break up we don't sell every single issue complete. Mm-hmm. Now, if we have a chance to sell an issue complete, look, truthfully, most of the time I will sell it complete. But there are times when I sort of take our overall customer base into account. That's a balancing act for me because I sort of have to, I think my first job is to serve the artist. And there are guys who they prefer to keep their stuff intact, complete. But if I have an opportunity to break something up, I will. And if I tell you I'm going to break something up, I'm going to break it up. And I'll give you an example. This happened twice, and it's both times with Riley Rossmo. Because it just happened. That's why I'm thinking of Riley. I had the complete Batman Who Laughs issue he did. It was probably, the key issue for that character, one-shot special.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it. I announced the drop, and as soon as I announced the drop, one of the very biggest guys in our hobby, I'm not going to say who it is, but he's been on my podcast. He wrote me and said, Felix, I'd like to buy that complete. And I had to tell him, look, man, if you had just written me yesterday, it'd be yours. But now I have, announced the drop. People are expecting it. I can't pull the rug out from under them, because there are people like internationally who will set their alarm and wake up in the middle of the night to give this a shot. And I don't want them to wake up in the middle of the night and read a, email from me saying, sorry, it all sold complete. And the same thing with this, so it's also related to Riley. He did another one-shot special for a Batman Who Laughs related character called the Robin King, who's maybe even more popular. And that issue, if I'm reasonably sure I can sell every page anyway, there's no, the benefit from us when we sell the issue complete is, you sell every single page. There's nothing left over. But if there is a special like this Robin King where I'm reasonably sure we can sell every single page, I'm just as happy to break it up. So someone wrote me, I would have bought that complete. Well, yeah, that's okay. I also would want to sell everything complete either. And I'm glad everyone got a shot. And can I plug the business for a sec?
Sure.
Speaking of complete issues that will get broken up. We talked about Donnie Cates in the chat with Trad. He's mega popular writer now, and a lot of our artists work with him. They're friends with him. They're all very close. And one of Donnie's probably most important collaborators, and very good friend. And I think will probably go down as as his key collaborators is Jeff Shaw. I mean, they worked together from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
God Country, that's where they both broke out, huge hit, and then became even bigger with Thanos Wins, which is just such a fun read. But now they have gone back to creator-owned work in something that they both say is the best thing they've ever done. They are both incredibly excited about it, and considering what they've done, I really think that's saying something. And it's not just yes, because I heard this from the very beginning when they were hatching the idea out. Jeff was like beside himself with how excited he was to get this going. And that is, of course, crossover #1. And here is all the art. Here's the complete issue. This is the biggest selling issue for Image since the 90s, like 150,000 copies, just absolutely insane. So I have had a lot of interest in this issue complete. Jeff's wish is actually to break it up, but he would sell it complete if we got just a silly number on it. So in this case, yeah, if you wanted to buy complete, there's kind of a complete issue premium. As it turns out, and no surprise to me, I really didn't expect anyone to pay it. And truthfully, you want to ask me my honest opinion, I would tell you, I really don't think it's worth that price. But it's to everyone else's benefit. So I'm just going to announce we're going to be breaking up crossover 1. It's very exciting. I think it's going to be. We've had a lot of huge drops this year. I think this will be right up there, if not our biggest. I'm including Silver Surfer Black in that statement. This is outsold Silver Surfer Black. It's and as Donnie has confirmed, this is an ongoing series. So not with all the issues that are selling complete. It's not just #1s. We sell number 10, number 20, doesn't matter. But a lot of #1s never get a chance to get broken up, and this one is. So that's my scoop for the 5 people who hung on to watch this.
There's like 75 people in there right now. So yeah, no, that's good. A lot of people know, and they'll be telling their friends. But yeah, that's all. I mean, I don't think there's anything negative to selling the complete issues at all. I just always, I can shoot from a shipping standpoint. That's got to be the best of all worlds, right? Instead of having to pack up, 20 plus packages, you only have to do one, and that's because that's a lot. To me, it's like I'm not a player like I used to be as far as buying art, but I'm that sympathetic personality. And it just, for me, it's like whenever I read that, I'm like, man, I bet he just broke the hearts of X number of collectors. And, I mean, it doesn't discourage them from wanting to buy it. And I can see why the artists, there's an advantage for everybody. That's all. I wasn't giving you a hard time about it. I just feel like if I was somebody desperate to get a piece from Trad, and it's like if I kept missing out on my when it actually does drop in a split, and then it's like the next one sells complete, I'm like, man, I am never gonna. When's it gonna be my day? In the immortal words of Ben Affleck and Jay and Silent Bob, it's like, when it's gonna be my time? And that's all. But it's probably part of the hunt too. In a weird way, it probably keeps everybody really interested and motivated too. So
it doesn't scare me or bother me to have to pack 30 packages as opposed to one for a complete issue. I'm totally okay with that. And it's not just selling complete issues to deep-pocketed collectors. I've made a real concerted effort to I guarantee you more than any other seller, in your network, I've sold more art under $100 year in, year out than any other seller. I mean, it's not even close.
Oh no, I completely agree. I've always felt that too.
It's work. It's work, but I like giving everyone a chance to own something. Just to have the chance to own something. I know if I was that age and I loved one of the like a Paul Pope, for example, to be able to get a piece for like $50. I mean, I like making that possible. Now, on an individual basis, as I'm processing a piece and packing a piece and having to deal with all that for $50, and my cut of that is a lot less. If you view it from that angle, it's not worth my time. But I don't take, I don't just count on the big sales. I want, yes, it's my business, but in that sense, I sort of feel like an ambassador like you, just spreading the love and joy of this hobby.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, trust me, I've always, the thing is, there would be you might be inclined to raise prices if you can sell out of a complete issue, pricing stuff the way you do in 15 or 20 minutes, I'd be looking at that and saying, well, the other
I think a lot of people think that, you sell out so fast, that means you price too low. Maybe I price what I believe is fair.
Right. No. That's why I think it sells so quickly, because it is price fair. I'm saying you're not gouging people. You could. I mean, in theory, maybe you could do the splashes a little bit more or something. But the thing is, you're really letting things go for what the market really should be, rather than going out and just saying, nah, it should be 25 grand for a complete issue because that's my guy. Because if I sold these all separate, I could easily double the price on all of them and sell them in 30 minutes instead of 15. You don't do that. So no, I mean, I see that. I mean, that's, because I look at it and I say, I know he's selling out quickly. He could charge more, and he doesn't, because he wants to make sure all of his clients, and I mean, the customers buying the art are your clients, just like the artists are. You want to make sure everybody gets satisfied. So no, I mean, I totally respect that about you. And I think that's that's one of the very positive things that I see when the art drops happen, and that's part. And I guess that's in part that kind of dovetails into why I always feel like there's got to be guys whose hearts get broken when they can't, when the issue doesn't get broken up.
And I feel for them. Again, I'm a collector myself, so much of what I do is driven from that perspective. I know how I like to be treated. I know how I like to be, presented things, and it's pretty easy that way for me. So I fully empathize with people who, get their heart broken because they missed out on something. Believe me, I'm a collector. I have my heart broken all the time. And, but the thing with our drops is, the people who tend to have the most success are the people who try the most often. And even they do not win every single time, not even close. I don't think there's anyone who's lucky even half the time, but if you're just trying here and there, the people who have the experience are sort of used to the speed, and they kind of have the hang of it, and they know. So anyway, but I am grateful for everyone's support. At the end of the day, I do what I do, but it comes down to the talent. I've talked about this before, that I'm a big baseball guy, big Oakland A's fan, and I kind of said, I'm gonna moneyball this. I'm gonna moneyball this the way Billy Beane, built up the A's, and in an unlevel playing field. A's are a small payroll team. We've just had no luck with owners. We've had one cheap ass owner after another. So he fields competitive teams, even though he doesn't have the advantage of a huge budget. Now, this isn't exactly apples to apples, but in the case of comic art selling, reps are sort of the minor leagues compared to dealers would be the major leagues, and I wanted to see what I could do to compete with the big boys, so to speak. That's kind of how we got here too. But like, you could have the brainiest guy in the front office, like a Billy Beane, but ultimately, the team success comes down to the talent on the field. And in that way, like I said, I try to identify the best talent possible. It's those guys, it's their work that's why we're having sellouts, because these guys are just fucking amazing talents.
Oh yeah.
All we've been talking about is business and rep, and you want to talk a little bit about collecting, because I actually have something to show the 5 people who hung out after Trad.
We have more people now than when Trad was here, believe it or not. But yeah, we do. Just so you know, I probably got like 3 or 4 more minutes that we can do until my next panel starts. So show me what you got.
Quick. This is something I haven't showed anyone before. So for you 5 guys, you get to see this. This is a prize in my collection. If you can see it, it is Watchmen #1, page 5. It is it's actually the very first appearance of Rorschach, and for the real hardcore Watchmen nerds out there, this is the first 9-panel grid page, and it's one of the treasures of my collection. I had talked about in one of my previous podcasts, alluding to using the intel provided by artist editions to hunt out art, and that intel being the thank you, the acknowledgement section in the artist edition, which will list all the people who contributed scans to the artist edition. Now, if you are a well plugged in collector, or you have friends who are well plugged in collectors, you can sort of go process of elimination. Well, this person owns this page, this one last page. So then that leaves a small handful of pages and a couple of names that we don't know. And we can sort of say, well, it's going to be these people. I happen to know, I love Watchmen. I love Watchmen art. It was probably my number, top one when I started collecting. And so I knew where most of these pages came from. But there were a couple I didn't. And that was one of them. And that was one that had been purchased from Comic Showcase, which sold all the Watchmen pages out of London back in the late 80s. Bought by a guy who's not an active collector, just an old timer. But at the same time, in the back of the artist edition, they call it artifact edition because it's random pages. But in the back of this thing, they printed a copy of the receipt that Comic Showcase wrote out for the art, and it had the guy's name on it too with the page. So it's like it confirmed everything. Mm-hmm. I did not know this guy. But I found him. I found him on Facebook, which I fucking hate Facebook, but it had served me well that day. But I didn't reach out to him yet. It just coincidentally, the guy who owned Comic Showcase is a guy named Paul Hudson, someone I'd been in contact with over the years. And he said, one of my original customers has some art, and he's thinking about selling. He's looking for offers, and so it just all the stars aligned on that one. And look, it wasn't cheap, but at the time I paid for it, it would have been probably easily top 10, most expensive interior ever. And I'm not saying it's worth more now. I don't know and don't care. But definitely the overall market's gone up since. So maybe it's bailed me out since. I don't know. But anyway, hopefully that's a fun story for the 5 people who are still hanging around.
Well, yes, again, they're almost 80. But I was going to mention that before we left, that you should check out Felix's gallery on CAF, because Felix does have one hell of an impressive collection. He's definitely in my sweet spot in collecting as far as the period of work that he enjoys the most. And Felix doesn't go for mediocre pieces. Well, he could, but
by the way, I don't believe in that. I have learned so much, first of all, from super experienced collectors like Lambert Sheng, but then also having repped artists. By the time I repped artists, I thought I was, decently experienced collector and had an eye. But I learned so much from these artists. Like, clearly there are, obvious pages that fanboys will go for. But when you when you learn what artists look at, I mean, like all the the obvious pin-up-y stuff that, would get us all excited, they're just kind of like, next until it's what you might call a mediocre page. The stuff that's up in my gallery is probably from the earlier part of my collecting, and it's stuff that most people might consider more impressive. I just haven't had time to. I'm busy, Bill.
I know.
You know what? Shit, I didn't even get to talk about my charity. I'm going to be benefiting.
We're gonna have to do this again, though, Felix. I mean, clearly we have a lot more that we can talk about, and everybody, and we have 80 people watching us right now, so I think that people want to tune into what we have to say and talk about, and so we should do this again. And maybe after the first of the year, when my life calms down a little bit, and maybe the holidays are over, we should think of doing something again. Maybe we do it over on something on your channel side of the world. But you should mention the charity, because I did actually load the image up. I mean, we've got like 1 minute. So how about you say what you want to say, and we'll end it at that.
So did a lot of fundraising for this charity. Did so well that they have created a fund in my family's name. It's a partnership with Powtown called the Lu Family Fund. They'll be administering it. We're doing art auctions. Let me show you a couple pieces real quick. You saw that awesome piece that Trad did. I love all you guys. I love all these pieces, but that sucker's going to be the anchor, But I'll show you some other great pieces. I mean, the guys did them just for the charity. Like here is a popular new character again, Donnie Cates. This is Null, and Ryan Otley did it, just for this auction. Got a Daniel Warren Johnson, Wolverine, just for the auction. Have a Ryan Stegman, Batman Who Laughs. There's all kinds of cool shit here. This is a really cool piece. This is a published piece. This is from my boy Nick Patera. This is Mobius and Jodorowsky. This was published in Hollywood Reporter, celebrating anniversary of In Call. And of course, they got the perfect guy to do it, because Nick reveres Mobius. We talked about Jeff Shaw earlier. Here is a Wonder Woman from Jeff. We just go on and on. Here is a Robin that it's from the Grant Morrison run from Chris Burnham. Here's kind of a cool little piece. We talked about Robin King, Riley's original sketches. Robin, the whole thing. It's all on this. It's all on this board. A little bit of history here. It's not published, but pretty fucking cool. And this will be up for a charity auction. Got a whole bunch more. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bill.
My pleasure.
Okay, and have a great rest of the show, everyone.
Thanks, Felix. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Sanya Anwar is doing a demo in the other panel right now. So again, Felix, let's talk after the show's over and work something out so we can do this again for everybody. Thanks again, everyone.